This is the Erin Cruz Show. Politics for the people and by the people. With your host, Erin Cruz.
Are live today with Burton Brink for Assembly. He's running for California State Assembly, District 49. He's in the belly of the beast. I know I say that every time. We've had him on several times now. We want an update. Welcome to the show, Burton.
Hey, Erin, how are you? It's good to see you. Good to see everybody. Hello, thank you so much. We are doing well.
Good, good. I mean, I've seen you. You're out there pushing the gas tax. Not pushing the gas tax, but pushing the repeal of the gas tax.
Exactly.
Yes on 6, and out with constituents. How's it going? Give us an update.
Absolutely. So I've done 2 Yes on 6 bus tours with Carl DeMaio.
Fabulous.
And I also had another Yes on 6 event that happened at in the city of Arcadia that we had also hosted to discuss taxes, crime, and the Yes on 6. So we've been hitting it from all ends. We've been all over the community. We've been at the Home Depots. We've been at the Costco's. We've been walking precincts. We've been making phone calls. We've been doing radio shows. We've been doing your show. We're trying to make sure that everybody really sees everything that's happening in the area and are being informed, because obviously the mainstream media is not informing anybody of the real truth.
Right. And I think you bring up a good point there. I mean, have you had a debate with the incumbent?
Well, he has been invited to 2 debates. And both debates, he declined to show up. One he didn't even answer, and the other one he said he had a scheduling conflict about a day and a half before the event. So I actually showed up to both of them, and the one that he said he had a scheduling conflict, I did the debate all by myself, or should I say the forum all by myself, just answering questions from the audience.
Wonderful. You know, we're on 2 video streams here. One of them, I'm not sure that they can hear you. They can hear me. It's a backup, and we're going to have a recording. We have had so much of an uphill in terms of getting the message out to the public, getting the information out to the public, and the public being able to get the information that they need for their candidates up and down the state of California.
Absolutely.
The mainstream media is not covering candidates like you, grassroots individuals. Doesn't matter what their party affiliation is.
Correct.
They're only talking about the incumbents and the problems, or what's going on in Sacramento or in D.C. And complaining. We need solutions. And I'm so glad that you're out on the ground letting the public know what those solutions are. You brought up crime, talking about crime, and I know that's your specialty. For those people who aren't familiar with who you are or your background, can you share with them right now what your background is and what your solutions are for the current crime-ridden state we're in?
Yeah, so I'm a retired sergeant with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I've actually been involved in law enforcement since I was 14 years old. As a police explorer in Arcadia, I was a reserve police officer in Monterey Park, and then went to the Sheriff's Department, retiring. As a matter of fact, a year ago today, I retired from the Sheriff's Department after 29 years as a sergeant. And the problem is we've got the problem with Prop 47, Prop 57, AB 109, that is more concerned with criminals than it is with the people and citizens of the state of California. Crime is going up, even though they're saying it's going down because they're being reclassified. Felonies are now misdemeanors. And so there's no teeth for what's happening with the criminals committing their crimes. So basically right now, crime is paying. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we rewrite the laws. Of course, it's been voted on by the public, so by the voters. So it will have to be another ballot initiative to make sure that we can get the teeth back in our laws, get our 3-strike laws back for our career criminals. Right. And let's make everybody in California safe again.
Right. And I think you bring up a strong point there. Let's make California safe again. We have an obligation as citizens of this great country to take care of our families and our communities. And you're stepping up. You know, you're a regular guy. You have a servant's heart. We've talked about that previously.
Yeah.
And you want to do the hard work.
Yes,
What can you
I've been involved in public service since I was 14, and when I was retired, when I retired, I had visions of traveling with my family and my wife, and let's go and enjoy what we've worked so hard to do.
Right.
And because of what's been happening in the state of California, and we have a son that's now just starting law enforcement. He is actually out on patrol now, and so, what is happening with our state is concerning to him, and it's concerning to the rest of my family. I was asked to step up, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it because somebody's got to do it, and I can get it done.
Well, you're brave. You're brave for putting yourself out there. I know I've said that before too, but I've even heard individuals who are running for office say, well, there's nothing you can do about the past bills that are there, and there's nothing that we can do to get things back on track, especially in LA. But this is going to have to take a very focused effort to do and accomplish what needs to be done, and that is restore law and order.
Absolutely.
And why wouldn't you want to take that next step, make that effort, and really push hard for reform? I think it's more restoration than it is reform, quite honestly. But it's hard for me to hear individuals who are running for office or even incumbents who are maybe getting flack now just kind of throw up their hands. I think they have to do more.
Yeah, well, part of the problem is you have an attorney general that's lying to the people, saying false statements on ballot initiatives and calling them what they are not, like the Prop 47 and 57. You had the Rehabilitation and Safe Community Act and all those stupid things, and it was nothing more than, hey, we're going to make felonies into misdemeanors, and all those misdemeanor crimes, you're not going to get any time in jail, so have a good time. People didn't know that. And when I explain it to them that, well, what can we do about crime? And I ask them about Props 47 and 57, the Rehabilitation Act. And what did you vote for? And they said, well, we voted yes, we want safe communities. And I said, well, that was the problem because you didn't read into the ballot or into the initiative to see really what the truth was with the initiative. And once they find out that they were lied to by the politicians, they get very upset. So I think it's just part of that education. People try to educate themselves on what's happening with these initiatives, and things are coming out. Yes on 6 being a prime example. That's if you vote yes on 6, you're going to get rid of the infrastructure and safety of our roads, and public safety can't come and rescue you. It's a bunch of crap, and that's the problem. It's fear mongering, and
the media, all of them are fear mongering, and we've seen that.
And they tell me I'm fear mongering. I know, right?
Right. We want to see who has financial, benefit from what's going on. You follow the money, It's you're a crime fighter, and you follow the money, you follow the information, you follow it all, and it'll lead right to those career politicians. If somebody's benefiting, we have to get back to real people serving in real offices for
and that's exactly what our government was supposed to be. Our government was supposed to be run by the people. Mm-hmm. I've had a job. I know what it's like living paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. The career politicians have no idea what it is. I've been telling people,
the big wig
isn't it time?
Who works at a firm, who's head of the firm, who then does this or then does that.
Right. And I tell people, I go, isn't it time to have a community leader, community member representing the community? I've lived in this community since 1967. I went to school here. I grew up here. I've worked here.
This is your family home, right?
This is my family home I live in. This is where we're at. We aren't going anywhere. I'm the person who will be representing our community. It doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're black, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter any of that. You are part of the community. You're a citizen of California. In this district, I'm representing you. My opponent is not from the United States. He immigrated to this country. Great. I have no problem with that.
Well, you know what? That even proves even more so, when I see this, because my family were immigrants, during the war. They came here, fled the Holocaust. Then long ago in early 1820s, my family came here. Look, here's the deal. He's an immigrant. He should know better. He should know and recognize the opportunity. What a great thing we have here as a country, and move to make it better and stronger and more vibrant. And yet he's corrupting it.
Right. And he is one of those career politicians. He was actually told he was going to be running for this district. He replaced Judy Chu, and Judy Chu said, "You will be running to replace me." And so that's what he did. He rented an apartment during the election, and once he got elected, he moved here into the city of Arcadia after the election. I've been here. I've been part of the community. I am part of the community, and I've even been told, by some people in the Chinese community, because Arcadia in this district is about a 60% Chinese community. They go, "Well, you're Caucasian, you're an American, you don't have any idea what it's like for a Chinese." My son is half Chinese. I know what it is like for the Chinese community. My ex-father-in-law is Chinese, so we're still very good friends. We talk all the time. People forget that just because I'm white doesn't mean I don't understand the culture and the community. I've been here. I've lived here. I've worked here. I've been part of it. I've seen the Chinese population grow.
All of your life. And I think we have to get away from that whole identity politics, identity hyphenated American. It was hard for my families when they came here. I mean,
right.
Let's be straight about it. Let's be frank about it. Especially when you immigrate with nothing. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And even language, and especially language barriers on top of that. I think that we have to recognize that we should all be, as Americans,
right,
striving
absolutely,
to be better, striving to have stronger families and communities, and harness our strengths instead of attacking one another, or maybe saying you can't relate, because you know what, maybe you can't relate, but share with me. Let's have a conversation about that.
Right.
Why does there have to be that breakdown? And I think that I'm so glad actually that you bring these issues up, because it needs to be discussed. It needs to be talked about. Those individuals who are Chinese in that community, all of the individuals who reside in that community, I believe will have a strong person representing them, which would be Burton Brink for California State Assembly, who will listen, who will be that voice in Sacramento. It doesn't matter your age or your gender or anything else, nationality. We're all equal, and you'll be their voice.
Exactly.
And that's what's important. That's what's
important. And it really even doesn't matter what political party I am. I mean, yes, I'm a Republican, but I will be representing everybody. I have Democrat friends. I have independent friends. I have Republican friends. And we talk things out. And, politics is always that dirty subject that comes up in something. But if you have an open dialogue and you discuss it, and then you discuss these issues on where everybody stands, you can give the best representation for the community. And that's what I'm all about. As a cop, that's what you take. You take what this person says and what this person says, and you find out what the truth is, so you can actually take care of the problem that is happening. And that's what I want to do. I want to go to Sacramento and actually fix the problems that we have, get rid of these career politicians and these corporate backroom deals that give all these politicians money. And it's like, no, this is not supposed to be your career. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a public servant. And these politicians aren't that. These politicians are doing nothing more than what's in it for me and how much more money can I make, because the hell with everybody else. And I'm the other way around. It's the hell with the politicians. What do I need to do to make it great for my community? And let's make our community better than it already is.
Right. And that too is what's great about you, because you have vision. You have perspective. You've had a long career. You see what's gone wrong, and you've seen where it's been good as well. I mean, and you can help the communities understand what solutions can be made, especially with relation to crime, homelessness, and other very important issues that are here right now in California. Now, we talked about I believe we talked about the yes on 6, making sure to repeal the gas tax, uh,
Absolutely.
getting out the vote, encouraging
Absolutely.
families to vote, especially in your area. Um, Now, on immigration, because there's a really big, strong concern by Californians with some of these caravans coming through. You're running for a state position up in
Right.
Sacramento and Burton, and you're not on a federal level. Immigration really is a federal issue.
Yep.
But the states have a responsibility to make sure that their citizens are safe and that everything is going well. I mean, if government does one thing, it should be just ensure we can operate as citizens. but
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
the question is this: with the caravan and the potential issues that could ensue from individuals coming into this country and putting our communities further at risk, and you're in the LA area, not that far from the border, what can you encourage the constituents there about um, how you might respond if or when you're elected to the assembly up in Sacramento? Because my guess is the people who are currently there will want to protect all of these individuals.
Yeah, and that's the problem. We we need to protect our citizens first. We have a problem. We've forgotten our veterans. We've forgotten our citizens, and all of a sudden, we're the world ambassador of bringing everybody in. But when you bring everybody in masses like this, you can't vet them. And if they're not vetted, then you don't know what you're getting. Yeah, you're seeing some children come along. Sorry, these other countries are selling their children for their money and trying to help these criminals get across the thing. They're not all criminals. I'm not saying they all are, but we really need to sit there and, whoa, bring this train down, slow this train down of these migrants that are coming over. I'm all about legal immigration, but we really do need to secure our borders. There's no doubt about it that we have bad people that are mixed in with these people that are trying to also come in. So yeah, this is that problem that's just going to keep going more and more, and it's going to really hurt us. It's going to hurt our citizens. We already have a homeless population we need to take care of. We have veterans we need to take care of. We have children we need to take care of. And the problem
We
is
have
when you
homeless
start
children we should be
e-
taking care of, or
exactly.
at least helping their families get a hand up.
So
And
why are we letting
obligation.
more of these people here? What good are they going to do for us right now? Don't you think we need to take care of our home first before we start, opening our doors to someone else? No. And the other thing is so many people have come to our country the right way to become legal residents and that type of thing. It's a slap in their face because they waited so long. They went through the entire process to become legal residents of the state of California or the United States of America. And all of a sudden, all these caravans are coming in with people, and you're all of a sudden going to give them citizenship, and they didn't have to really work for it. That's a slap in their face, and it's I don't like stuff like that. Let's do this the right way. Let's protect our country. Let's protect our citizens that we're supposed to do as a government. And once we've taken care of our people, then we can start looking at helping others.
Right. Well, you bring up something interesting. I'm a mother. My kids are grown, but I'm a mother. And my concern is, are these children really children uh, of the people who are bringing them? We don't know. They're undocumented.
Yep,
We
most are
don't know
not.
where they came from. We don't know what their background is. Any of that. And um, I think that it's important that um, people realize the complexity behind what's going on. And on a state level, these individuals, if they look up to a certain age, they'll be put in um, our schools with our children. And
Right.
we don't know the background. And certainly there is a process for individuals who are actually justifiably refugees. And that's a federal issue. But on
Right.
a state level, what's important, I think, to the citizens of California, because I am one and I can't vote for you, but what you do impacts my life up there in Sacramento. So, with that in
Absolutely.
mind, what's important to me and what I've seen a lot of people online say is important is that the people up there in Sacramento are going to take a good, long, hard look at what needs to be done. They're going to protect, not legislate for safety necessarily, but do the right thing in terms of the legislation that's there, that's going to be brought through, and make sure that Californians are put first.
Yeah, absolutely. And, back to the children that are coming across the border. Yeah, about these children that are coming across the border, some of them are actually being human trafficked for sex slaves and that type of thing. So
we don't know,
because the sex trade does use children that are coming from other countries in this type of manner as well. So, it's a big issue, and it's something we need to take care of.
Right. And, the best thing we can do in terms of that situation is to let the authorities handle it. I've heard a lot of people get very angry, and they're talking about doing different things in the state or, going down to the border. We need to let the authorities handle this. And I'm so glad that you're level-headed. You have a law enforcement background. You really look very logically at the situation, and you see the big picture, because the citizenry is frustrated. They're frustrated, and they need strong representation. So now we're getting close to the end of our segment.
Okay.
We need to make sure that people can go online, learn more about you, learn more about your campaign, learn about all of your positions, see where you've been, what you've been up to, and contribute.
Yes. Yeah. Well, obviously we've been nonstop. We're less than a week from the election, so of course every day is packed full. But anyway, my website is burtonbrink.com.
Yes.
Just the spelling of my name.com. I'm on Twitter at Brink for Assembly. I'm on Instagram at Burton Brink for Assembly. I'm on Facebook, Brink for Assembly. Any of these platforms, I'm Brink everywhere. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So, I try and make sure I hit all the gamuts of social media with the businesses, with our youth, with the Instagram. We've got the Facebook, we've got Twitter. We pretty much have tried to saturate every area of ability for people to see what's going on, and see the issues and hear what we have to say. And I'm an open book. I get people who email me all the time or send me messages either on Twitter or on Instagram or wherever. And they're like, wow, is this a staffer? And I go, no, you're actually talking to me. And so I think that really is a big difference, that I'm the one that does the social media. I'm the one that answers people for the most part. And, you'll know if you're getting in touch with me. But I want to make sure people know that the person that's supposed to represent you in Sacramento, you're supposed to be able to contact and be a part of. When you have Sacramento that's saying that a politician now can go in any area of the state of California, they don't need to live in the district, I think is the worst thing to do, because how are you representing the people?
How do you relate to the people? How do you make sure you're
exactly
accessible to the people?
And that's what's so important to me, because as I keep telling you and have been telling people, I'm part of this community. I have been since 1967. I'm here. I've been here. I'm still here. I'm part of the community, which means you will have true representation in Sacramento with me elected as your state assemblyman.
And that is in District number 49. Thank you again for coming on the Erin Cruz
Thank you,
Show,
Erin.
Burton Brink. Everybody, this is Burton Brink right here, right in front of you, right live. We only have a few more days left. Make sure that you get out the vote. If you don't live in this area, you can still contribute to his campaign. Go to his website. You can also, if you know people who live in his district, let them know that he's running. Also get the message out about repeal the gas tax. Yes, I want to repeal the gas tax. That means I vote yes on 6.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, thank you again, Burton Brink. God bless you, and
thank you, and
stay
you.
safe out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. It's always my great pleasure seeing you.
Oh, absolutely. We want to hear from you.
Okay.
What's going on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think I'm going to talk to you next week, too.
I think you are. All right.
All right.
God bless.
Go out and vote, and thank you so much.
Do you see dead people? Because they're voting in California. Corrupt politicians are using dead people to steal elections. Last October, we learned that a Mexican citizen used a dead man's ID for the last 25 years. and he voted for him multiple times. A CBS investigation found that hundreds of dead people are still voting in LA. By allowing dead people to vote, the Secretary of State is telling you that your vote does not matter. You know what? Your vote does matter. All votes matter. Elections matter. Let's stand together. Let's fight for fair and free elections. I'm Mark Moiser. I'm running for California Secretary of State. I don't see dead people, but I do approve this message.
And the world is made of energy, and the world is electricity, and the world is made of energy, and there's a lot inside of you, and there's a lot inside of me, and the world is made of energy, and the world is synchronicity, and the world is made of energy, and there's a lot inside of you, and there's a lot inside of me. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Yeah. We're gonna see the sunlight. We're gonna see the sunlight. Yeah. And the world is made of energy, and the world is electricity, and the world is made of energy, and there's a lot inside of you, and there's a lot inside of me, and the world.
Hello, everybody. We are live today. Yes, live today at the Erin Cruz Show with the one, the only Roxanne Hogue. She is running for California State Assembly in the 46th district. She is also in the Belly Beast. You may have just seen Burton Brink. He's also in the Belly Beast. And, you know, I think that it's important people recognize there is very little time to get out the vote left, that you are feet to the pavement, out and about, and getting out the vote. Thank you for being on the show again. How's it going, Roxanne?
It's going great, and thank you for having me. And yes,
Absolutely.
Burton is cute. He's many things. Burton is awesome. We've worked together on a bunch of stuff. I'm also getting to work with the Yes on 6 folks with Carl DeMaio. So I've gotten to do press conferences and rallies, and we have a bunch of stuff coming up in the next few days. Everyone is, yes, pedal to the metal, but here's the good thing. A lot of people don't pay attention until now.
Right.
You know, they have lives, they have businesses, they have kids, they're trying to get their Halloween decorations up. So there are people who are kind of going, what, an election? Awesome. What do I need to know?
Right. And that's when we can share with friends and family. You know, I've brought this up many, many times. You may not live in Roxanne's district, but if you have family members who live in her district, I'm going to have her list off some of the cities that are in her district in just a minute. If you have family there, talk to them. More often than not, you might know somebody who lives there, and make sure that they're like-minded people. Get out that vote. Roxanne, what cities does the 46th district cover?
So it's basically the San Fernando Valley. We are stretching from Lake Balboa, Panorama City, and North Hills. Then we jump over the 405 and we go down to Sherman Oaks, Studio City, all the way to Universal City and Toluca Lake, Valley Village, and then the Hollywood Hills, all the way to Mulholland. So if you're Mulholland and then north in the hills, all the way up to Granada, a little bit of Granada Hills and Van Nuys and North Hills, that's me. So if you see Roxanne on your ballot, you're in the right place.
So, but for those people who aren't living there and know people who live there, talk to them about Roxanne. I think a lot of this election cycle, and the media isn't going to want to cover this topic alone. a lot of candidates aren't getting mainstream media coverage at all. And a lot of this information is grassroots outreach, word of mouth, sharing with friends. Social media is a huge one. Candidates putting their information out there like you've done. You have a Twitter, you have a Facebook page, you have a website where people can get a hold of you. So when they get their ballot, they can read it.
And YouTube, where we have this great campaign video that I have in English and in Spanish, because I speak bad Spanish, but it's better than no Spanish. I have a 30-second, a 2-minute. I think the biggest thing we're fighting is that California in particular, in general, and LA in particular, we have such a ginormous ballot. And we've been so overwhelmed by the other side that people with common sense, no matter what their party affiliation is, people with common sense who just look and go, that doesn't seem to be working. If I've hired someone to fix my roads and bridges for 20 years, for example, as we have with Caltrans, and all of a sudden today they're saying if we vote yes on 6, the bridges are going to collapse. I think a normal person goes,
tactics.
Yeah, well, why weren't you fixing it last week? Like, I mean, what stopped you from taking care of business and doing your job for the past 20 years? So there's a lot of us like that who have common sense, who aren't involved in politics, who kind of gave up and said, But the other problem is we have such a giant ballot that people go, okay, I'm voting for governor. John Cox seems like a, good, reasonable guy. And, I've heard Mark Moisier, he's good. And then they sort of peter out because there's so many things on there. Just so many hands trying to go in the pocket, all these bond measures, for example, and judges. And really, one of the things that affects our lives the most, I mean, it's very sexy to talk presidential politics, but what really affects your day-to-day is your city council, your state assemblyman, your state senator, your county supervisor, your water board. Those people, they can, as William F. Buckley used to say, it's someone who, when you're taking a shower, they want to reach in and adjust the temperature for you. Those are the kind of people that run for those offices, and man, are they in power. And we got to stop them.
They are in power, but I do think that the media, the mainstream media, is underestimating the people, their will to have a good life, their desire for liberty and to retain their freedoms. And the fact is this, there's only so long you can keep stealing other people's money and trying to put it to some program and get away with it. There's only so long that you can run a state for 20 years or the national level, run a country for 20 years and say, we have all these problems and I'm here to fix it. Elect me again.
Yeah. And again.
And
again.
And again and again. It's not working. What you did last time, if you had a handful of years and you didn't continually produce, you're fired. Let's trump that. You're fired. And put somebody in and at least give them a shot, because part of it is, some people say that if you don't have a background, and I got this with my U.S. Senate campaign run, I'm not a politician. Well, you know what? Darn well, good thing I'm not.
That's why we want to vote for people like you.
We need people in offices who are real people, who can relate to the people. You can do your job, do it effectively and efficiently. You'll know the problems. You know the people, what their concerns are. Be able to address the issues and rely on other individuals for some of the fine point details. But here's the thing, the people aren't stupid and the media is abusing them by stating that we don't have to tell you anything. But you know what, you're doing the right thing and putting your YouTube out there and your Facebook out there and you're hitting the town and getting out the vote. You don't have a political background in terms of policy, in terms of the confines of elected office. But you have been a businesswoman. You're an actress. You're also a mother. You run a household. What do you believe that you will bring to office, besides common sense, because you have it, to get the job done and get it out of the status quo of running over Californians with legislation?
Well, I think our founders had a few good ideas, and one of them was that they intended our legislatures to be staffed by people who came, served, and then went back home, back to the farm, back to the community, so that you live within what's going on. And that's my premier qualification. What I want to do is California should be run like a business. We should not have, say, 5 or 6 departments that disabled people need to contact in order to get their benefits. That makes no sense at all. We should not kowtow to public sector employee unions. They're destroying this state. I'm a union member, a proud union member. I have my SAG card for 30-something years. But my union is more of a guild. In other words, it has protections for its members. It bands together to negotiate for health care and pension benefits. But if I do a bad job, I can and have been fired. Right? I get fired. It doesn't mean that I get a guaranteed wage. It doesn't stop me from excelling, and it doesn't help me be mediocre. And that's what too often public sector employees do.
Or if they need to fire you because they can't keep you on, I mean, they can let you go and rehire you. I think that what's important is, people need to recognize you're a real person. And too far has it been, and too long, individuals are out of touch and they don't return home. And even if they do return home and live in their district, they live in an out of touch world. And we have to stay connected as a people. I'm not even just talking about politicians, just as a people, as communities, because we're divided. We are so divided. We have to come together and start looking out for those individuals, like the homeless, like the veterans, like those individuals who've been, I was talking with somebody else earlier today, like the individuals there are even homeless children and other individuals who we have to take care of them and love our communities. And I believe that you'll listen to the people and hear their voice, hear their message. Now, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand on the caravan? This is a big issue that's come up, and I know it's a federal issue in terms of immigration, but this is a big state. I don't live in your district, and I cannot vote for you, right?
Right.
But every decision you make up in Sacramento will impact me. The current policymakers up there want to help all of these individuals, and I don't know that that's good for California. What would you do as a state assembly person to protect Californians financially and safety-wise from the situation that's going on at the southernmost part of our state?
Well, it's a great question. It's one of the things that sort of spurred me to run, because I think what's so frustrating is when we see that there's 2 sets of rules, when the United States no longer has the rule of law, which is the one thing that has allowed it to flourish, for 200 years plus, game over. So when California decided, we're going to pass this law and become a sanctuary state, that stuck in my craw. And by the way, in the craw of many other legal immigrants who came here the right way, which involves filling out a form, waiting, being open to examination, saying, proving that you are who you say you are, that you are going to be an asset, and that you understand the principles of the country you want to be part of.
Right.
So to say all of a sudden, well, yeah, we know there's this whole legal system. I always, quantify, like, let's compare it to Disneyland. Disneyland is great. It's super expensive. Everybody wants to go. What if I just throw my 4 kids over the fence when they were little, right? So they can enjoy, because everyone should enjoy it. Disneyland is a wonderful, wonderful place. Sorry, I'm going to move that out of your way. Someone's texting me. Go away, Mom.
I can't see it. Don't worry about it.
But I can't see your eyes. So I throw my kids over the fence at Disneyland. Great. Now they get to enjoy the day. Well, actually, no, because Disneyland was prepared for X number of visitors, and that they run a business, and it has to be able to accommodate the number of people there. And by the way, at the end of the day, when the kids are discovered, for them to argue that they get a lifetime annual passport is complete madness. So what we did in California was our legislature said, yeah, I know you have to follow all the laws, Erin, and you, Roxanne, have to follow the laws, and you don't get to declare sanctuary from, paying your taxes or our restrictive rules about opening a business or having a liquor license or any of those laws. But this one law on entering the country, we're going to declare sanctuary not for people who just entered illegally. No, we're going to go further and give a big old hey mulligan to people who entered illegally and then committed a felony. That's who sanctuary state laws are to protect. Right. Felonious illegal aliens.
Once they decide that they're able to release them after they've been through their process for whatever crime it is that they've committed. Yes. But,
so it's completely wrong. And specifically the caravan, sorry, that's not how you get to, we all know, as Justice Blackmun said, I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it. We all know what refugee situation looks like. It doesn't look like well-fed, able-bodied men marching and being bussed in large air-conditioned buses with their smartphones through 5 countries on the way to our country. That is not a refugee situation. The Yazidi Christians in the Middle East being slaughtered, yes, those are refugees because they're not safe. You don't just get to say, I want to be here. I mean, that's sort of the magic ingredient of socialism that never really works. Oh, everyone should get to live in the big mansion on the hill. Well, that mansion actually belonged to someone. And if you just break down the walls and break into it, that's a crime. And it's mob rule. And we can't have that.
Right, absolutely. And I agree with you on that, absolutely. Part of the issue, too, is that there are some children. Most of the people in the caravans are able-bodied men, I'll say it frankly, war-aged males. And there are children amongst them, they say reportedly, some with women, some are families. We don't know that. That's one of the issues. We don't know where these children come from. We don't know where these people come from. They are undocumented. So it's good to hear that you, as a state assembly person, will be cognizant of, restoring order in terms of respecting federal immigration laws.
Well, right? Because it's at the end of the day, by the way, if you're a compassionate, well-meaning person who I don't doubt that most of the people who think, oh, that sounds, everyone should be able to come in, that's their thought process. It's actually not compassionate to those very people. Because when you pay a coyote, when you come in illegally, you've now made yourself and your family vulnerable to, the women are incredibly vulnerable to rape, to being sex trafficked, the men to being, and men and women both to being drug mules, and to living life in a permanent underclass. Right. Well, that's not good. And guess who else it's not good for? It's really not good at all for these countries who are losing these motivated, able-bodied men and women of, as you say, fighting age. But that's not just fighting wars. That's fighting by starting a business, by building a home, by what. Well, if those people stayed in their countries, they would make their countries better.
Well, this is the thing, and that brings up another issue. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about is that here's the deal. If we have individuals who are coming to our country, fleeing their own country, able-bodied individuals who could work and what have you, why aren't they fighting to rebuild their own country? Why aren't they fighting to rebuild their own country? They have families there, or wives, or have other individuals that they're concerned for. Why aren't they fighting and making an effort there? Because if they're not fighting and making an effort there, what makes us think that they're going to fight and make an effort here? You bring up a good point about the working and putting energy into the economy in terms of what they could do at home. Some people might argue that if they're here and we keep them here, that they, somehow might be able to impact our economy in a positive way. Where do you stand on, say, Mexico and America coming up with better immigration laws for work visas here? Because that's another solution.
Well, we actually have a system. So I'm from Jamaica, island of, not New York, and Jamaicans for years have used guest worker visas to come here
and from Mexico already. We have billions in trade.
And then you come and you work whatever job, whether it's a tourism job that's seasonal or an agricultural job that's seasonal, and then you go back home. But I think people went back home to Jamaica because for all its warts, our system works better. You know, it's a beautiful place that people wanted to return to.
Well, that was their home, right? So they would go to work and then they would be home.
Exactly.
You know,
and
that's the idea.
You can't have open borders and a welfare state. Because you're just continually inviting people in. And so the argument, and by the way, I not only think it's specious, I think it's pretty unbelievably bigoted. I knocked on doors the other day, and a man who was a Democrat said to me, well, who's gonna pick our vegetables and clean our toilets? He actually said that to me. And I was like, well, I actually think Hispanic people are capable of all sorts of jobs, but you do you. The fact is that to think that way about other people is pretty belittling, and everyone's lives will be better if you follow the rules to come here. So yeah, our immigration system could use an overhaul, but the problems that are with our immigration system are all because of people not following the rules.
Right.
It's broken. Well, yes, it's broken. You battered down the door to break into my house, and now my door is broken. Yes, that you caused the problem.
Right. Well, at the state level, your interaction would be different than the federal level, but it's very good to hear that you have a strong position on restoring the rule of law and order, and providing a secure economy, because that's what the outfall is. When you have no borders, no nation, you have an erosion, you have economic issues and impacts, and I'm glad to hear that you're thinking in the direction of serving the public of California.
And guess what? When you're serving the public, just like when you're running a household or when you have a business, you have to prioritize. Right. So everything can't be number one. Right. So I kind of think public safety and infrastructure and law-abiding citizens all rank above, our criminal underclass, who the legislature spent the last session figuring out ways to make crime pay, taking away bail, passing 1810, which gave people mental health diversions, unloading people out of our jails, AB 109, that was a couple of years ago, and writing Props 47 and 57 to reduce felonies into misdemeanors. That's not my priority. Somebody said, where's the compassion for the homeless people on the street? Yeah, you choose to shoot up. My compassion's going to lie instead with the mom with kids who's trying to get to school and has to step over the guy who's shooting up on the street. Yes, I'm actually going to make a hierarchy, and my law-abiding folks kind of went out.
Right. I did hear an interesting interview the other day. John Cox for governor. He's running against Gavin Newsom, one of those belly of the beast dudes who's ruined cities, and now he's a lieutenant governor, and he wants to be governor of California after he's already wreaked havoc. But John Cox said something interesting. He was mentioning how, here we have these crazy people who are legislating to give heroin addicts places to shoot up, safe places to shoot up a very unsafe drug. If that were my daughter, I wouldn't want you to give her a safe place to shoot up. I would want you to let me know, and I would want to get her help.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a very valid point that he made there, is that, and I think that, as family people, because you have children, you can see that. You can see that as being the better solution for these individuals who are doing these things in California, not catering to the law breaking, not catering to druggies or the those with addiction issues or mental health issues, or those who are stuck in poverty or other things that might cause them to break crimes or get into drugs or get in a situation that's struggling and hard to pull out of. You, I believe, can see that. You're a mother.
And here, we actually had a conversation. I had a meet and greet at somebody's house on Sunday, and a woman got super mad and actually stormed out because she said, what would you do for these people? And I used the analogy of my children. I said, if my children, God forbid, someone started to shoot up, they wouldn't get to do it in my back bedroom. No way. And she wouldn't believe me. She said, no, you're lying that you would. And I said, no, I really would. The kid would be kicked out. It just,
or they would be getting help, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Like, you have to make a choice. And the fact is, any addiction counselor will tell you the person has to hit bottom. Well, they're not going to hit bottom if what the city of LA, for example, gives them is a unit costing $500,000 for free, where they don't even have to get clean or sober to take advantage of it. Free roof over your head, 3 hot meals a day, and a safe place to shoot up.
Right.
Where's the bottom?
Where's the bottom? And it is a hard drug to get off of, but it's a very real issue. And these are the types of things that Sacramento are legislating, putting tax dollars to. And that's a big concern, because I don't believe that problem, that drug, those situations are going to get better with that type of legislation in place. And as a matter of fact, it could very well get a lot worse. So, Roxanne, thank you for expanding on your hardline stance. And
I would say, and that hardline is actually the most compassionate way to take care of it.
Right,
for
absolutely.
Example, if anyone has time to read, 100 pages, what happened in New York City in the early 80s is so instructive. That place was headed, down the toilet really fast. There were people on the streets. Garbage was piled high. Everybody was getting mugged. And they, as liberal as they were, voted for Republican Rudy Giuliani, and he, with Bill Bratton, had the broken windows policing system. And they said, you have to take care of the small crimes to break the culture that allows big crimes to happen. We're all seeing it here. I don't know about you, where you are, but in Southern California, you can't have, a grocery bag in your car without expecting that it would be stolen. You can't go to the library without 2 cops standing guard because of the homeless people doing God knows what in between the stacks. We're not living in a civil society anymore. So we have to adapt broken windows policing. We have to let law enforcement enforce the law, and remember that our priority is public safety and the welfare of people who do want a civil society.
Wonderful. Well, I believe that is a lot of information for folks to absorb, and it's good information as well. Roxanne, can you give the people your information, your website, and how they can get involved in your campaign in these few days left?
Absolutely. The number one thing we can do, especially here on social media, is share, especially on Facebook, but using YouTube, using Twitter, because what happens is those of us with common sense here in California, we start to feel that we're alone. Oh, our vote doesn't matter. It's just me. It's not just you. You are not alone. There are more of us than there are of them, but they've cowed us into being silent for too long. And I don't want to move away from California. I bet your listeners and watchers and followers have either moved and want to come back, or they don't want to leave. So go to my website. It's rightonusa.org, RIGHT. It's also Roxanne Hogue for Assembly, but nobody can spell my last name, so I just do also rightonusa.org. And there you'll get links to Twitter, Roxanne for 8046. Facebook, Roxanne Hogue for Assembly, and YouTube. And definitely check out the video, because no matter where you live, it's actually sort of illustrative of what's happening in California. And so spread the word. If anyone can spare $20 to $100 to get out the message in the last couple days.
If you can max out your contribution. There's only a few days left in California. Every dollar counts. The current incumbent in your district, District 46, is horrific.
He's got $700,000 to play with. So yes, I can use all the help I can get.
So, well, thank you again for coming on the Erin Cruz Show, Roxanne. Hopefully we'll hear from you right before the election, maybe even the day of the election. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then, I think that we just all have to stay connected, patriots, and spread the good word and get out the vote.
And tell your friends, you don't have to be a Republican to vote Republican. You just have to not want steaming piles of dung on your streets.
There you go. On that note,
in a nutshell,
we want to leave on a little bit cleaner note. Together, we will clean up this big mess, and we will make California golden. All right, this was Roxanne Hogue on the Erin Cruz Show. God bless.
Is the training for people who go out on election day and observe the polling places. And that also, those people can go out to the places that set up early voting, like Orange County, for example, set up early voting pop-up centers. And so our observation would be the same there. So during the month of October, we hold trainings in as many counties as we've got teams. And people, well, we put on our website, we put the training schedule. So if you don't have a contact within your own county, you go to our website and we have a neat little map there. You can click on your own county and you will get the schedule of when and where trainings are in your area. Then all you have to do is RSVP and show up. Those trainings have traditionally been 4 hours long because there is so much information that we try to give. But we are now trying to streamline them a little bit. So the ones for November will not be that long, but they will be just as thorough. And then once you have trained, you're good for the election season, and then the person involved with training you will help you to know where to go. They will get your information and your requests. You know, where would you like to go? What area would you like to stay in? Where would you like to observe? And then we will make sure that we coordinate that with you. You'll be given a hotline number to call when you're out there on election day, and that's all there is to it. You can go by yourself. You can request a partner. You can go for 30 minutes, or you can go for 13 hours. It's completely up to you. And then the second training that we have is the one that I mentioned before, the 1 hour online training that will give you the idea of what to look for, how to evaluate it, and what to do when you see something you're concerned about in watching the ballot processing. And so for that, you would contact us directly through our website and let us know that that's the training you're interested in. We will get back to you and connect you.
And now, back to the Erin Cruz Show. Here's Erin Cruz.
Hello and welcome back to the Erin Cruz Show. I know we have had an action-packed, election-packed day. It's not our usual air date. All of these interviews you've seen today will be airing in our original show, which is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. But we have to work hard to get out the vote in California and to unify Californians, give them the information they need about the candidates in their districts. Today, in this interview, we have on the phone with us Lisa Romero. She is running for California State Assembly in District 11. Welcome to the Erin Cruz Show, Lisa.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, this is a very on fire midterm. We have a lot of people working very hard to shift politics as usual up in Sacramento. What made you get to the point that you decided that you wanted to run for California State Assembly?
I want to be an assemblywoman because District 11 needs new leadership. Right now, Jim Frazier is leading District 11, and he's the co-author of the gas tax, and we want to vote yes on 6 on Prop 6, excuse me. We want to vote yes on Prop 6 to repeal the gas tax. It's costing average family of 4 around $800 a year. But for my family, both my husband and I commute out of the Bay Area, and it's costing us over $2,500 a year.
Right. That's a big ticket item, and I'm so glad you brought it up. You know, this gas tax, they're using fear tactics to try to get people to not repeal it. And the truth is this, that there are solutions out there, and as a matter of fact, the gas tax has a solution built into it. And what people need to remember, and just like Lisa Romero said, is yes, I want to repeal the gas tax. Yes on 6. And that's one way to remember. How do I vote? Yes on 6. Yes, I want to repeal the gas tax. But here's the deal. You know, Lisa, you say you commute. You wanted to live in an area which is probably safer. You and your husband, and so you commute, and you do put all those miles wear and tear on your car, and you do use the roads. You know, I think that people like you who are spending $25 a year, that's a lot of money. Food on your table, clothes on your back. And I think that we need people in there, like you said, for new leadership to take care of these issues without abusing the taxpayer. What are some of the other things that the incumbent has voted on there that you would do differently?
And speaking with the gas tax, a lot of that money that is diverted. So the money that we already pay for the gas tax is diverted to the special fund. So another thing that Jim Frazier is the chair of the transportation department. The transportation department has the bullet train, I call it, to nowhere. It started at $33 billion. It is 11 to 13 years behind schedule. It is now at $77 billion and estimated to be $100 billion. Not only that, there's 300 farms in the way of building that train. And so a lot of the funds and taxes that we pay are being diverted, and that's another example of the diversion. And so what we need in the state assembly and what I will represent is we need transparency, we need fiscal responsibility, and we need accountability to the residents of District 11.
Absolutely. Servant leadership and serving the people there. One of the things that we see in Sacramento is the crazy legislation, like legislating straws, legislating anything, just about any way that they can to get a hold of our pocketbooks, right? That's how it seems. What are some of the other issues you might address which are actually cause a concern for many Californians? Because I can't vote for you, Lisa, but everything you do when you're an assemblywoman will impact my life as a Californian, because your vote matters, right? What will you do in terms of, or what are your solutions in terms of, the homelessness issue, okay, as well as the crime issues, which are currently some areas where the legislative body up there has not been standing on the side of tax-paying citizens?
And so my history is I've been a nurse for 28 years. I've been a professor for 15 years, and I've been in leadership over 20 years. Right. And so in those positions, I have intersected with health, homelessness, aging, diversity, mental health issues. Right. And so as I've been campaigning, a lot of the residents in District 11 and across the state are worried. They're worried about the homelessness. They're worried about public safety. They're worried about housing. And so I think those are key issues that we need to focus on.
But government isn't always the solution, or there are ways to solve the problems in a less restrictive way or less financially impactful way. It seems like Sacramento just wants to throw big dollar, pull money and throw big dollars at problems. That doesn't necessarily solve problems. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And as you know, as a nurse, one of the things I saw, because we have John Cox running for governor against Gavin Newsom. One of the things I saw him talk about was a very interesting thing, and you probably can weigh in on this as having a nursing background. John Cox said, if my daughter was shooting up, I wouldn't want somebody with heroin. I wouldn't want somebody to give her a safe place to do it or to cater to her addiction. I would want her to get help. Rather than be on the streets, get a safe place to inject. Where do you stand on that issue and solving some of these big problems here in California? And I know there are a lot of these issues in the Bay Area where you are.
Yes, and so I have worked in mental health, and so I've worked in acute care with these patients coming in. And it's a dual diagnosis. A lot of times they have mental health issues. It might be PTSD because they were in the war and they're veterans and they're using just to self-medicate themselves. It might be someone that has bipolar disorder, another mental health issue, and they're using just as a coping skill, an unproductive coping skill. And so what we need to do is we need to have the resources available in the hospitals and in our communities so they have a place to go. A lot of times patients will send them back out to the same environment and they don't have the resources they need. We need a lot of institutions that they can go to that are outpatient based, that they can stay at, and we're going to have to be able to fund that because a lot of people that are in those situations don't have the money to do it, but they want the help. They want the help. They have their children that are taken care of by CPS. They have their children in foster care. They want the help, but they can't stop the addiction.
Right.
And so we need those resources available.
Right, and it's a complex issue, and I think that, you know, the mainstream media plays it down quite a bit, but the people are smart. The people of California are smart. They see we have tough problems, and we need comprehensive solutions, not just throwing their money at the issues without any real true solutions, long-term solutions, because like you said, these individuals are going out there and they don't have the resources that they need, or we aren't organized as a state or as a people enough to be able to meet those needs. One of the things that they're doing in Austin, for example, they have an interesting program where they're working with some of the homeless, they're working organizations, they're working with some of the addiction organizations and the hospitals, the different pieces of infrastructure built there to help these individuals with addictions. But they're also using an interesting component, which is the nonprofit sector, where people can contribute to these organizations. These organizations can work closely with government and, you know, in government agencies and other facilitating organizations to be able to help these people. You know, more government isn't necessarily always the answer, but more efficient processes to serve the people. Is that something that you would be willing to look at, as some other states that are having programs installed that are actually getting results, positive results?
Right, and so as a leader and a nurse, what we do is we look at what's working, not only in this state, but across the country and out of the country. And so I'm going to be resourceful. I'm going to look at why reinvent the wheel. If there's something already working out there,
right,
let's apply it to our state. Let's
take a look at
and and make a change.
Right, and I like that you're open to that. Now, what would be one of the top 3 things that you would like to do when you first get into office?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is focus on this yes on Prop 6 and repeal the gas tax. The second thing is we need to look at, which I already discussed, is the bullet train. We need some accountability and fiscal responsibility with that. And I think the third thing would be working with our police and fire to make sure that we have all the resources we need, especially with public safety, but also the fires that we had here in Napa and Solano County. And so we can be proactive in the future.
Right, and that's a very smart thing, and I think you're mentioning something that's preventative. You know, I'm always for, Republicans really are for less tax, less, you know, regulation, and less government. More freedom, right? But one of the ways we could do that is preventative measures, being proactive. And that is a smart thing that you're mentioning there. You know, fires have impacted a lot of people throughout the last 10 years, especially as we're becoming more urbanized. You know, I think that the resources are wasted when we try to do a big cleanup on something that could have been prevented. Where do you stand in terms of some of the other issues, though, like the you talked about the first responders and the firefighters, the police? You know, we have a lot of issues where they just recently took away cash bail, you know, and they've now made felonies misdemeanors, and some of these things. Do you stand by the police and back the blue, and are you going to look at how we can solve these tough problems?
I definitely back the blue, but I also back the blue with accountability.
Right.
And so all of us have to be held accountable.
Right.
And when we have a felony that is now a misdemeanor, we're going to have a lot of those people back on the streets, and we're going to have a lot more crime unless we have the resources we need to rehabilitate them. And so it seems like every time we're talking about homelessness, or we're talking about mental health, or right now talking about, people that are in illegal activities, we need the resources. And so there's a lot of taxes we already have. A lot of it is going to the general fund. And instead of paying $100 billion to a train to nowhere, maybe we need that. But right now, we need to focus on what our priorities are. And our priorities are, we need public safety. We need to support our fire department. We need to support our police.
Right. And that in turn will help our communities and encourage a strong economy. Lisa, I am so glad that you are running for California State Assembly, in the 11th District. We need all of the things that you're talking about: accountability, fiscal responsibility, and individuals in there that care. How are the potential constituents in your district responding to your candidacy? Have you gotten a warm response?
I have. I think my upbringing, my career, my leadership and education, it gives me a strategic, and creative edge. And so they know that I'm going to advocate for them.
Right.
And they know I'm going to make change and I'm going to lead them. And I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats.
Well,
both.
You're talking about the constituents, correct?
Sure, yes, absolutely, and decline to state. But I make that point because it's not just Republicans supporting me. There are a lot of Democrats supporting me as well.
Well, we've seen the walk away movement, and it's huge. It really is huge, and it's important to recognize that it's not about left or right. It's not about Democrat or Republican at this point. It's about what's right and wrong. And we need solutions, and we need accountability and fiscal responsibility, especially here in California. Where do you stand in terms of immigration? Now, immigration is a federal issue, so, you're running for a state office. But there are individuals here in the state like Kevin De Leon who, published and passed SB 54, and others who want to cater to illegals, it seems, more than the citizens of the United States and residents of California. Where do you stand on illegal immigration and, say, the current caravans that are now heading up to California?
So I'm a Latina myself, and so my mother is, my family's from Mexico, her family's from Mexico,
Right.
My father's family's from Spain. So I have a lot of family that have come to the United States.
Right.
But
As many have,
they followed
right?
the law.
They came for opportunity.
Right, but they followed the law.
Right.
And so we have laws, and the problem is we have not set boundaries with those laws, and now we want to. And so it's hard for people to understand that, but those laws have been in place for years and years and decades. So I think what we need to do is we do need to tighten our borders. We need to know who's coming in here, and everyone needs to follow the law.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Everyone needs to follow the law. I'm going to make, hey, team makers, Team Erin Cruz, we need to make a meme for Lisa Romero. Everyone needs to follow the law. Because I think it is as simple as that. And that actually applies to so many things, Lisa. So many things. And
Sure.
It provides strength and stability and strong families. It provides strong communities, you name it, right? And you know what,
Erin? Even in regards to a straw. Mm-hmm. So in San Francisco, I can't use a straw, but guess what? I have to follow.
You want to be a lawful citizen. You don't want to be breaking the law.
Yeah. Right.
But if you don't like the law, you can change them. Guess what? That is how that works. And so the Democrats, or shall I say, I don't want to say Democrats, so the progressive left understands it goes both ways,
or you can run for state assembly.
Absolutely. You can do that, as you're doing, Lisa. Now, I think that the listeners, they need to get to know you. You know, we've had lots of different candidates on. We only have a few days left to the election, actually, but those listeners, I want them to be able to read about you. Do you have a website where people can find out more?
That website. And before I do, I'm just like everyone else in this hardworking person. So I have seen the issues with our education and the resources, once again, resources that we don't have. I have been in our community where I was walking into, at 7 o'clock in the morning, into my storage unit, and someone that is known in the community that lives in his car, homeless in his car, and has mental health issues, decided to try to chase me. And actually, I got in my car, and I left, and I called the police because he was still chasing me in his car. And I took him straight to the police station where they got a hold of him, and they ended up 5150-ing him. But, you know, what if I would have had my children in the car with me, or what if I would have had them sitting outside and we were looking at my storage stuff? I had to run to my car and I had to leave. And so we've had homeless in our community that have knocked on my door at a stoplight, and my kids on my kids' side of the door, and they're scared. They don't know what's going on. Right. And so I'm running because I need to make a difference. I need to do something, and I want to support my community, and so this is my next step. And so I do have a website. I do have a Facebook page. It's electlisaromero.com.
Okay, and the spelling of her name is right down at the bottom of the screen. That's Lisaromero. So for those people who want to write that down, go ahead and do so. So you have the website, you have a Facebook page. People can ask you questions via email, or what's the best way if somebody has a question for you to reach out?
I'm available. They can reach out to me on my website, okay, on my Facebook page, or they could even call me at 415-336-922, and I will be the one answering the phone.
I love it. You know, I have to tell you, Lisa, you are not the only candidate running for office who used their own phone. I ran for United States Senate as well. We had ring on the phone earlier, but I ran for United States Senate, and as a matter of fact, I answered my own phone. That's just how that works. We need real representation. We need real accountability and real people helping to get California back on track. Thank you again for coming on the Erin Cruz Show, Lisa. We want to wish you the best of luck. Do you have one last thing, though, to leave our listeners with before we go? Something that you'd like to share with them?
I'm Lisa Romero, and I will bring transparency, fiscal responsibility, and accountability to District 11. Please vote for me, and yes on 6, to repeal the gas tax.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Lisa. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, folks, there you have it. Lisa Romero, she is a Latina, a mom. Her husband, it sounds like he commutes. They both work hard. They want to help transform California or restore California and do the good work that needs to be done here in the state. Please make sure that you get out the vote. There are very few days left. We have to red wave 2018 and beyond and beyond. Don't forget, Trump 2020 will be here before you know it. But first, get out the message on these candidates. Spread the good word. We may not always agree on all the issues, but the current legislators for these positions where I've been sharing with you are horrific. They are progressives. They are eroding our United States Constitution, and California Constitution is getting completely manipulated, and we are in a state of flux here in California. So help us get this train back on the tracks and on its way to restoration. Together we will help make California golden again. God bless all of you. Take care.
We will return to the Erin Cruz Show in just a moment.
We must shift the power of the people, the thinking of civil disobedience, of resistance, of violent rhetoric to creating unity, nurturing one another, sharing our morals and value systems, growing our youth, our families, and our communities. Let us do this now, lest we wait and get run over by the lawless and those people who would watch our great republic fall. This includes the caravans that are headed to our southernmost border and those countries who are aiding those caravans. We must stand as a united front and stand and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights and everything that we hold sacred as a nation. We must stand together against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I stand with you, ladies and gentlemen. I have heard you over the last few days concerned about the future of our great republic and the call for the president to take action to protect our great nation, and the lack of response from those individuals in Congress to address the immigration issues that are currently at flux. We must secure our borders. We must ensure that future generations are not burdened with the weight of those persons abusing refugee status from southern and northern nations. We must secure our country, our republic, for those people who are lawful, who love liberty and want secure freedoms, and that will obey the laws. Stand with me, and I'll stand with you, and we will fight. We will fight for what is right and what is good for our great republic, and really for the world. Please contact your representatives. Please contact the White House. Make your voice heard about the issues surrounding the caravan. We can't let one more day go by where children are trafficked and subjected to the abuses that we have seen that are so horrific. One more life lost is a tragedy. This is a human rights issue. We must see that these individuals stay in their home countries and that their governments care for their people. We must see that our southern neighbors, Mexico and other nations, are ensuring that individuals don't cross through their nation and don't gain aid and continually put these children and women at risk. We must see that individuals who live in foreign nations, who receive foreign aid, actually are the recipients of that aid, and that the corrupt governments that are abusing the system and taking advantage of the United States, seeing their people flee out of persecution and fear, that those countries are dealt with swiftly. All people have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But this does not come within just living here in the United States of America. Our rights are given by God and secured by the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution. Other nations should be equitable towards their people and serve them and work for them and help their nations flourish as ours has. We are the last refuge, the United States of America. But in order to stay that way, in order to provide and to help the world flourish, we must stay healthy as a country, and that means we must remain a nation of laws and a nation of order. Again, I say, I stand with you, stand with me, and we will unite and defend our border against those people who want to weaken our country, weaken our republic. Our next stand is to contact Congress again, is to call out President Donald Trump. May God have mercy and protect us all. Good night.
And now, back to the Erin Cruz Show. Here's Erin Cruz.
I know I say that. I've said that like 5 times now, and we're periscoping and we're YouTubing and we're Facebooking, but we only have a few more days to get out that vote and to help get California back on track. We have a really, really important district that we're going to talk about right now. It's up towards the more northern part of the state of California. We have a candidate, Vicki Norden. She's running for California State Assembly in District number 9. You know,
29.
29. Is that a typo? There's a typo. All right, it's 29,
yeah.
Folks. Go ahead and make sure that you adjust if you've taken notes or anything else. But yeah, I'm going to tell you, you're in the most northern part of the state, at least in the top third. How are things up there? How is your race going?
Wow. Thank Erin. First of all, I really do want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be on the call today, and just to say thank you for running, for the state Senate seat, for the U.S. Senate seat. And I'm looking forward to you back on that ticket. So we need more people like you as well. I'm in a very beautiful, beautiful district. I'm in a beautiful district. It's known as Assembly District 29, which for your listeners, I'm in the Monterey Bay area. So it encompasses the Monterey Bay area, Santa Cruz, and up into a portion of Santa Clara County. So it crosses 3 counties, and it's a very beautiful area. It's mostly the coastal area of Monterey County. It doesn't include really the agricultural area, which is South County and Salinas, nor does it include the agricultural area of Santa Cruz, which would be Watsonville. Right. So it's a very beautiful area. I'm running against an incumbent who's been in the seat for about 6 years, and he's running on a different platform than I am. I'm running on a Republican, a conservative platform.
Conservative, I love it. I mean, not just Republican, but a conservative platform. You know, we have a lot of problems in the state of California, and I spoke to Roxanne Hogue. She's running for another assembly seat here in California. What we were talking about earlier is that, you know, these people, now your current incumbent there has only been in office for 6 years, right? But this is the thing. He's been in office for 6 years. These people have been in power for a very long time. And what are they accomplishing? And it's certainly what they're accomplishing isn't helping California. What are some of the things that he has done which you will do differently when elected to office?
Well, I would like to say one thing to begin with. I'm not sure how familiar your listeners are with the candidate statements and what they get in the voter guides. And it costs about $12,000 in my district, District 29, because of 3 different counties to file that candidate statement. So we consider the 250 words that we want to write. Absolutely. We consider what do we want to communicate to the voters. Well, I just want to say that my opponent, he filed the same candidate statement he filed 2 years ago. The only difference on that candidate statement was he was 2 years older. And I just thought, how much time did you take to really think about what you wanted to communicate to the people? Or are you sitting in that seat and just thinking you're going to continue to sit in there and not do anything different, and everybody's going to vote for you because you think that we live in a district that has voted a certain way in the past? And I just thought that really did not take into consideration the people of the district. And he really hasn't.
It's insulting, as a matter of fact.
I know. I think it was too. I was.
And you want to know who you're voting for. Ignore the D, the R. That should be giving a message to the potential constituents on how they're going to make up their mind.
Exactly. The only reason I know it is because when I first filed for my papers in February, I had asked for some copies of candidate statements to take a look and think about, okay, well, what have people done, and get an idea as an example. And so they did give me, So he did give me that one, and so I thought, well, let me just see. And they were just the same. And I was like, I can't believe this. Why didn't he even take the time to communicate the message of what he's done over these past 2 years to the people? And to me, that said a lot. And so I just pointed out because it.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. It says a lot about his character as well. We have somebody who's running for governor. We have John Cox who's running for governor. Oh my gosh, I supported Travis Allen. John Cox made the ticket. I'm looking forward to casting my ballot and voting for John Cox against Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, as a matter of fact, is just as arrogant as your incumbent. He didn't, if not a little bit more, maybe not. It depends on how you view it. He didn't even put a statement. These individuals
I understand.
who currently are in office just are not looking at the regular Joe as the beautiful, wonderful citizen of the United States of America who takes value in their vote, wants to make an educated decision, and cast their vote accordingly. It's just disrespectful.
Yeah, and I think it is. And even with, in regards to Gavin Newsom, he did not file a candidate statement. I understand because he wouldn't sign the paper that said he wouldn't go over a certain amount of money. So I would like to say to your listeners that these seats are not for sale, and they should not be for sale.
Ever.
And so and that has really been something I've wanted to say, because if you are going to put your hands behind your back and put your hand back there and take secret money and money behind the scenes, then why do I want to trust you with a whole entire state or a district? And that's something I think that I would like to. Yeah, it's a good-sized district, and the people in this community, they have concerns, and the concerns that they have are not the concerns that are really being addressed. And those concerns, we have a very large homeless population over in the Santa Cruz area. I live in Monterey County, and the opponent lives over in the Santa Cruz area, and over there they have a huge homeless problem. Lots of drug addicts, shooting up on the beaches, leaving their, plastic hypodermic needles on the beaches, and they're worried about the plastic straws, which I don't think many of them make it down to the beach. But I'm concerned more about the children walking on the beach and getting stabbed by one of those needles. So there's certain issues that he's not really addressing or looking at, and they're right in his face, right in his own community. And so those are some things that we do need to focus on, because that's the voice of the constituents who are saying we need to deal with the crime that's associated with the homelessness and the drug addiction. And I don't think those things are being addressed. Yeah, they're passing bills that, sanctuary state and outlawing straws and charging a young waiter or waitress going to college, if they, in the Santa Barbara area, that if they deliver straws to people without asking, it's $1,000 fine per straw. It's absolutely ridiculous. Some of the things, about the future, about, for our environment and certain purposes are wonderful. We need to think about that, because we do need to think 5, 10, and 15, 20 years ahead of us. But when it becomes such control and things that just really don't make sense, I really file those under something called ridiculous. And I think that there's other things. Yeah. Well, it's true. I think that there's other.
I love that you say I like to file those under something I call ridiculous. It's true.
Yeah. And that file is getting a little bit too thick, by the way. And I think there's some things that, they need to change. We need to listen to what the people of our communities are saying, and not just think of what special interests want, what lobbyists want, and what somebody's giving you money. And I remember talking to a businessman over in Carmel. Actually, he's a restaurant owner, and I met with him. And the reason he met with me is because he doesn't like the opponent who's in the seat. And he told me that, he said to his face, that he was talking to him about the issues and things they needed help with. And he said, well, I support the unions. And I was like, wow, he said that right to your face? He said, yes. And so a lot of people aren't really very happy with him. And so they'll decide that when they vote. I I'm hoping that we will have a good turnout and that I will be able to win this seat because I will go to represent the people of this district and I will listen. I will work across the aisle because I know how important that is. And Erin, one of the big concerns I really have right now, not only for my district or our state, but even for our nation, that there is such a great divide of party politics right now that, I say that if we don't deal with this, what's going to happen is the people are going to fall through the cracks and that the people aren't going to be heard. And that needs to change.
Currently right now with Democrats
it is.
Or progressive left individuals who, I won't even call them Democrats, progressive left individuals who aren't looking to the real needs of the public and aren't working with the people who see the real needs of the people. They're agenda-driven with
agenda-driven
vision of what needs to take place to accomplish the things that the communities need to take place in order to be prosperous and provide for a safe community and strong families and all the other things that we all want, right? So now I have a question for you, Vicki, is you're going to go into office, and what are those top 3 things that you would like to accomplish in your first year while up there in Sacramento? I think the people want to know, what is your priority in terms of policies you want to take care of?
Yes. Thank you, Erin. Yes, one of the things I really want to look into is there is a proposition called Proposition 3 that was passed in 2004, and some of your listeners might be familiar with it. If not, it's really what was known as the $1 million tax. It's the 1% income on the people who earn $1 million or more in a year. And that money was supposed to be allocated to help mental health, and that money has been sitting. And I would like to know, what are we going to do with that money to get it going in the right place, in the right direction where it needs to go? And I believe that could be some monies and some help that could help the homeless situation that we're facing, not only in my district, but really all over the state. And all of that money should be allocated at the county level to the people there so they would be able to take that money and incorporate it in their plan on how they're going to bring a solution to the homelessness problem. So that is going to be important to me to see what our budget looks like, where that money's going, why it's not going, what it is being used for, and that is an important part for me. So I am going to look into that and get some answers. One of the other things that we've been working very strongly on in my campaign is the Yes on 6, and if your listeners have heard probably quite a bit about Yes on 6 with other people, we're standing to see that repealed. That's the proposition that's on the ballot, Yes on 6. So to see that the voters have a right to vote on things. So I'm not just going to go up there and pass things that the voters have a right to vote on. And I think that's really important. So the issues that, I'm concerned about are education and public safety. And public safety would include the homeless situation and the crime situation that has also, been happening around that. We, throughout the state, we have water issues. We need more water supply. The focus is, also sustainable, with the environment. So looking at the wind and the solar and the batteries and how we can do that, being that the governor has passed quite a few laws around that. So lifting red tape for the small business people so they can accomplish more, looking at why all the businesses don't want to come into California and why many of them are leaving. And I've spoken to quite a few business people, and they are actually saying, well, we're just leaving. And it's because there's so much red tape and there's so much government control and regulatory stuff and that people don't want to come in here. So I want to make sure that we reach out to our business people to bring them into California, as well as deal with some of the issues that have been pretty prevalent in our communities.
Well, that's important. Now, I heard a couple. All of those issues are important. I heard a couple of things, a couple of pieces that you mentioned. Environmentalism what I see is a bunch of regulatory reforms that are oppressive. Where would you stand on, say,
Yeah.
giving companies, especially big organizations, small businesses have enough on their plate, just trying to operate every day and pay their employees and try to save so they can reinvest, so they can reinvest. But, where would you stand on, say, giving incentives to companies for meeting certain guidelines, as opposed to the opposite, which is what the state of California has been doing, is very oppressive, totalitarian. If you don't meet this, we're going to nail you, type of mentality of, well, we could just look at the carb situation and its carb situation and see that's going to cost us, me and you, a lot of money. And what is it really doing? How is it really helping us? Are you for giving incentives for better practices, better business practices?
Well, I think that would be a good idea.
And I'm saying
I think we could help.
Not give them money, but give them a tax break. I think that's part of it is we're not saying hand them something that they, that we've gotten from a taxpayer. We're saying, or what I'm trying to say right now is give them an incentive in terms of easing the financial burden to help encourage more investment, to be able to better their products, to be able to meet certain regulatory reforms.
Yes, I think that would be good to give them incentives. It gets them working towards the directive of, what they're wanting in the state, but it also gives them a break when they have to invest and spend more money to come up to those levels of that regulation. So yes, I would agree with that.
Yes, I mean, you're asking them.
It's a little bit too much, actually. What the current administration is trying to do, and the pressures, and even taxing drinking water, and our water bills already are so high in California, and we need to do something about water storage in the state of California. And I know that John Cox, running on as governor, he does plan to do something about that water storage on a statewide basis. And there's been a lot of opposition about water storage, and we really need that as well. So there are a lot of regulations and things. I think if we can, get a turnaround for California, that we can see some changes. And one thing I'd like to say to the viewers, Erin, is that this is an opportunity like we have not had in a long time. All 80 of the assembly seats are up for election, 20 of the 40 Senate seats, all 53 congressional seats, and of course the U.S. Senate seat. And our executive branch of government, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the secretary of state, I go on. This is an opportunity. If the people will get out there and vote and really engage in this election, I believe that we can see California turn. And I believe that we can see this third seat in District 29 turn as well. And so I have been running a strong campaign, been very busy. This is my third interview today, and I have a meeting tonight. I was on the UC campus last night with the youth.
I didn't know it, but I just gave you thumbs up. So you have more
Thank
events
you
this
so
evening,
much.
right? I mean, you're busy.
Yeah, I have another meeting this evening. And so, we're reaching out to the community to talk to the people. And, I can't go in there and change everything overnight, but I'm willing to work hard on behalf of the people and listen, and then vote accordingly, not because somebody wants me to vote a certain way. And our campaign hasn't taken money from all the unions and the other people. We've run a grassroots campaign, but we have done very well with what has been placed in our hands. And we still have about a week to go, but we're running strong. So those are some of the things I will focus on when I get there, helping to bring balance, I guess, to some of the things that seemingly are out of balance.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We need real people in office, real pliable individuals who we can talk to, who are approachable, and who will listen to the constituency and meet the needs of the district. I can talk. It's been a long day. where can we find more information about you? I want to connect people with your platform so they can familiarize themselves with your platform. What is your website?
Okay, thank you so much. My website is Vicki Norden, VICKINOHRDEN 2018.com. That's my website. And if you want to follow me on Facebook or Twitter, Facebook is Vicki Norden for California Assembly 29. If you type in my name, it'll probably come up, but it's the Assembly 29. And I have a lot of things posted on there throughout the campaign. People can see a little, know a little bit more about what I support and where I stand and the things that I've been looking at over my campaign since February. So that would be a good place to start, Erin.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, there's a lot of hard work ahead. You're in the home stretch here. The constituency has an opportunity to get to know you, to be able to cast their vote for you for positive change that will actually be restorative change and get that district back on track. Thank you for coming on the Erin Cruz Show again, Vicki. I would like to see if I can follow up with you, if not right before the election, but after the election as well. California does need strong leadership, and I believe you're it. You are it.
Thank you, Erin. I appreciate it. And I want to just say in conclusion that I have spoken to some of the people who are working up in the Assembly district up there, and I've had some support as well. And they just said, we need more women up here. There's about 20 women who are part of the Assembly, and the majority of them are not Republicans. And so I think that I have an opportunity to go and make a difference here in California. And I will be delighted that once I get there, Erin, please come and visit me in the office, and let's talk about how we're going to change California together.
Yes, absolutely. We need strong people in office and unity. And I think you said it well when you said working with people across the aisle. Now, I want to clarify, that doesn't mean that you're always going to do what people across the aisle want. You're going to work for the constituencies, and you need, in order to do that, you need to be able to accomplish some things. And in order to do that, you have to have those conversations. So we're so glad to hear that you want to do that good work. Thank you again.
Yes, I do, Erin. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to share with the people on the call today. I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. God bless you. Take care.
Okay, God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Well, folks, there you go. It's Vicki Norden. I actually had her name spelled wrong. It's VICKI Norden, NOHRDEN. Please go to her website, find out her information. Go to our hot tickets. We do have a hot ticket for her. You can go to my page, which is on Twitter, at Real Erin Cruz. Scroll down my tweets. You can also go to our other Twitter account, which is at Team Erin Cruz. Hot ticket candidates are there. Get their memes, share their information. Their website information should be on there. Follow up, help them. They need phone banking. They need door knockers. They need contributions. It is up to all of us as Californians to do what we can to help make restorative change and get this state back on track. God bless all of you. I hope you have a very good evening.
People all over the USA, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the USA, join hands, start a love train, love train. We're pulling up to your station, get yourself ready for our party of lower tax jobs and security. Don't you know it's time to get on board and let this train keep on riding on through.
hope that you enjoyed that song from Songbird. She really puts a lot of effort into her music. Please go ahead. You're going to see her link to her music down below in the chat. Click it, open it, watch some of the other music she's put together, and share them with your friends and family. She definitely has a strong message to help make California and make America great again. On to our next.
And now, back to the Erin Cruz Show. Here's Erin Cruz.
We are in election fever with hot ticket candidates. We have on the line with us Aja Smith. She is running for United States Congress in District 41, right?
Yes, District 41 and here in Southern California.
Southern California, I mean, the land of the Libby Loonies. You know, your campaign is on wildfire right now. It's just going, it's hot, 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 and you're in a tight race, right? You're scheduled basically to win.
In my whole schedule, 1 week from today, I'll be Congresswoman Aja Smith, and that's what we're all pushing hard.
I love it. I love it. So now you're heading to an event right now, right? I mean, you're busy.
Well, I'm actually here. I'm just in the parking lot, so I was like, okay, before I go in, let me do this real quick too.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you had told me something, and I posted it on social media about some breaking news, some news that was not so good, but has spurred you forward in your campaign for office. Can you share with the people who are listening tonight what happened to you in the case of your election?
Well, you know, a small detail, somebody came down and said I violated the Hash Act, whatever, and it was really stupid, actually, but at the same time, I look at it as a blessing in disguise. So I was told by either dropping out of the race or resigning. So I said, well, give me the resignation paperwork. This gives me more time to campaign.
Well,
and that's what I did. And, you know, so far, I mean, God has blessed me and my family. Been going out there door to door, making phone calls, putting up more campaign signs. I'm getting more momentum and people. So I look at it as a positive. I turned it into gold where I said, okay, I was going to just go ahead and just take some time off. But at the same time, it worked out perfectly. I'm getting more recognition, and I said everything happens for a reason. And that's where, you know, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, where God pretty much said, you got to really do this full time. So you got to work harder so I can get you where you need to be in Washington, D.C. So that's how I took a big leap of faith. I've taken leap of faith before, and to me, I'm not down. I'm not down about it because I know regardless. I take this as a positive, as more motivation to say, hey, I'm working harder. I'm getting up earlier. I'm going to bed later. I'm traveling more to different parts of my district. I'm walking more neighborhoods during the daytime, the evening time. And to me, it really worked out. And I'm in there in the community talking to future constituents, and they're like, wow, you know, you're a real person. And a lot of people are saying, wow, a candidate came to our door, and having long conversations with people, and they said, you got our vote. Can we have your Can we have more information? It works out in a way where if you want to go to a higher level, you're going to have to really sacrifice so many things. And my whole family, we've always sacrificed to make good and to do good for the community and for the country. So I take it as more of a blessing than a loss.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's a loss.
There's no.
When you mentioned this to me, when we had that conversation one-on-one in person, I really thought this is the Lord putting Aja's life in perspective in terms of what's the commitment here. running for an elective office, which really requires 100% of your time and 100% of your effort.
Right.
And
Right.
now you're able to devote the time and attention it takes to really run for office and to meet the needs of the constituency, because they have big
Yes.
needs there in your district. They're not being served
Oh.
by the current politician and the status quo person in office.
No, they're not. And a lot of people have expressed that to me. Even Democrats and independents have come out and said, we voted for you. We're going to support you. Because the current Congressman, Mark Takano, he's going to be Takano, he does, and I'm getting emails and even postings on my social media, my Facebook page, saying, you know, we're glad you're running, because he doesn't respond to anybody. And that's one thing, if you're going to be running for any level of government office, you have to hear the needs of your constituents. Regardless if you agree or disagree, you have to hear. And for a long time, that's all I've been hearing. Even up to tonight, I got a message saying, we're glad you're running. You have 4 or 5 votes in my house or 3 votes. We're telling our neighbors to get out and vote. And that's the key crucial thing. The no party preference and the independence, I'm telling you, you have to go out there and vote. Yes, the Democrats and the Republicans were out there to vote, but people who are on the fence, who are moderates, who don't like either party, I keep telling them, get out there and vote, because your vote does count.
It does count, and you know, you're a candidate who, though you might always not agree with everything somebody stands for or wants done, you're going to listen. I've met you, I've talked with you, and I know if I said, hey, Aja, this is a concern, you'd say, wow, Erin, you know, you're not in my district, so I'm not really working for you. But that's an interesting perspective. You listen, you know, and that's what you currently don't have in these offices all throughout the state, all throughout the nation, as a matter of fact, are people who are self-serving and serving an agenda over the population, over their constituents' needs. And, you know, it's people, if you live in the 41st district, if you have family in the 41st district,
Friends, anybody,
you know, have them take a look at Aja and her platform.
Right.
You know, Aja, what is your website address for the folks out
It's
there?
It's www.aja4congress.com, and it also has the Twitter and the Facebook icons too, and you can follow me on both.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. But folks, get on that website, take a look at her information, and share it with your friends. Email it to your email people. Go on to Facebook. Message your friends who live in her district and can vote for her. Message them her website. And if you can contribute to her campaign, like she said, she's walking districts herself and handing out lawn signs and handing out pamphlets and talking to people.
And we're boosting things on Facebook, and that costs money. So every dollar counts. Every dollar is going right towards the campaign. Every single dollar. So I have a small team. I call them Gideon's Army. That's okay. And you know, it's a David and Goliath. It really is. I'm in a David and Goliath issue here. And I tell them we can win this. We can flip this seat back to red. We can flip it. We can get Mark Takano out, because even if you say, well, she's a Republican and I don't like her, but I always point out the facts with Mark Takano. You see me doing, Erin. You see me saying this guy votes nay on everything. Veterans bills. He voted to protect child predators. I mean, you have to start thinking this guy is no good. He's voting for what agendas? I don't even think the Democrat agenda. I don't know. But nobody.
Agenda. It's a progressive agenda. It's a progressive agenda.
Yes.
It's not a balanced, you know, I think most people want, you know, a safe community to live in, to raise their families, to have a good life, you know, a strong economy, and this sort of thing.
Right.
And what they're legislating currently isn't serving any of those things. It's serving.
It's not. And he's just stuck in his own little bubble. And at the same time, I tell people you have to look at everybody's voting record and go, it's a long, tedious task, but you have to say, well, why did they vote against this? Why did they vote against that? And you have to really start looking at it that way and start saying, well, this person, Aja Smith, is speaking the truth. Everything I hit him on is fact. There's no fiction to it.
Right. Absolutely. Now, you know, you are in a district which has a military base, right?
Oh, yes, Marshall Reserve Base, and Mark Chicano sits on the Veterans Affairs Committee. He hasn't done anything for veterans.
And he voted against some veterans issues. So,
he's voted against national defense bills. The VA in Loma Linda is still ranked one of the lowest in the nations, and everybody's coming to see it to light. What I'm saying is the truth.
Well, the Bible says, you know,
and you're going to.
But, you know, the truth will keep you free in terms of what we need to have done here in California and everything else. I think that shedding that light in the darkness where people don't want to shine that flashlight, we need to shine that flashlight, shine it bright, and really expose what's going on, because the people deserve to have their hard-earned money. If the government is going to tax us, that money needs to be, you know, these people need to be held accountable. That money needs to be spent well. And they deserve to have somebody who's going to do their job and represent them. And I would encourage folks right now who are listening to Aja, she's got to go into this event and what have you. Take a look at her website, send her an email, or if you have questions, reach out to her if you have questions. But really, if you can give up a latte, set aside $5 and give it to her, she's going to be able to have a lot of door hangers real quick if just 100 people do that. You think it doesn't matter. It makes all the difference in a world with a grassroots candidate.
Yes, it does. Especially with grassroots, you know, people say, well, I'm expected to lose, but I'm not going to. I was only 13,000 votes behind during primary, and we can win this. We can really... We can push this really hard 1 week from today. Get out there and vote. Even if you don't live in my district, get out there and vote in your district, because we need to. This is going to be one of the biggest midterm elections in history. It is. And
it's one of the most important elections of our lifetime. We're on the inside of many people who are voting age, but one of the most important elections of our lifetime. And we can make a big impact. So, and one last thing that you have to share with the people before you go inside of your meeting, Aja, if you could.
Okay.
Share with them. What do you have to say to them? What's your message for them?
My message is this. Right now, our country, we are in the brink. We have a lot to lose. If we lose the House, we lose our country. We have to maintain the republic. And a lot of people don't understand that. When it comes to the republic, that means our individual rights and freedoms can be overturned if the Democrats, the far left progressives, the opposition, because not every Democrat agrees, and I've met those people. The far left, Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, the Kamala Harris's, the Cory Bookers, they want to take our rights away quickly and as much as possible. Right now, we have a president who gave us the lowest unemployment rate in history for African Americans. We're on track when it comes to trade. We are getting the ball rolling when it comes to the tax cuts, and that helps. It really helps small businesses. So if you want to maintain and if you want to push forward, we have to get out there and vote, because we have a lot to lose in this next week, November 6th. Get out and vote.
I love it. And vote yes on 6 on the gas tax.
Yes on 6 on gas taxes. Yes, it cost me $55. It cost me $55 just to fill up my tank, and I said, "This is ridiculous." And then people say, "Well, what kind of car?" But I used to pay like $30. I used to pay $25. This is summer prices. Yes, in the summertime in California, our prices are higher. But I've seen people post from Arizona and Texas, their gas is $2-something a gallon. And I said, this is where we need to be. But yes on 6, because you have to go to the website, look up yes on 6, all the pros and cons. It will explain why we are fighting here in California, because the gas prices are too high and it's hurting the lower and middle class income workers.
It is. It's hurting those people who commute because they can't, one, afford to live in the cities. Two, they want to live in a safer community, maybe that's not as close
Right.
to the urban areas. And they move farther away because it's less expensive as well. And then now the government has decided that no, we want that money from your gas. And now they have more money out of their homes, off of their tables, and in the government's pocket. And we know they're just wasting. So yes, vote yes on 6. And yes to repeal the gas tax there, and that would be awesome. But the one thing I want to say last before I let Aja go, Aja, we're going to be praying for you. We're going to be praying.
Prayer is very, very powerful. I'm meeting with churches. I was given a 4-star rating by Craig Huey. Go on his website. He has a great breakdown on everybody. So pretty much we have to pray, but we have to get out there and fight and boots on the ground, because that's how we're going to take California back.
Well, we're going to pray for your safety, and that when you go to these doors, that when you speak to these people, that their eyes open and their ears open, and they welcome the message of liberty and freedom and prosperity for all in the state of California and across the nation. God bless you. You be safe, Aja.
God bless you. God bless everyone, and God bless America.
Thank you to our many partners and friends in China for your strong commitment to growing the economic and cultural ties between our two great countries. I'm especially pleased that California's first trade office has its home in Shanghai, and I have a very special connection with Shanghai. As mayor of San Francisco a long time ago, I had the honor of establishing a sister city relationship with Shanghai.
Thank you, everybody, again for joining us for another edition of the Erin Cruz Show. We are going to have special election coverage next week. As you know, there's not much time left, so look throughout the week for live coverage on Periscope, on Twitter. Facebook Live is going to be having some shows, and also on our YouTube. You can catch all of the archives on iTunes. Where do you go? ErinCruz.com to the Erin Cruz Show tab. Everything can be found there. You can subscribe, you can like, you can share. But please make sure you stay connected, and also share these videos with family members. We have them downloadable. Go ahead and download them. All right, everybody, get out the good vote. Make sure that you help your friends get off their couches and get out there and mark the box. God bless all of you. God bless California, and God bless the United States of America.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the same time and the same place next week.